Coltrane and Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. And he explains in the script, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, two masters of their craft in the studio at the same time, no rehearsals. I forget the exact syntax and how it all went, but I had that album, and it was one of those things where you smoke a lot of grass and you bug out on an album, and so much where like you put it on your headphones and you say, I'm only going to listen to Bill Evans' piano. I'm going to go start to finish and just bug out on piano. And Bill Evans barely plays on Kind of Blue. He just laid out. And he was one of the only white guys Miles Davis ever worked with. Gil Evans and Bill Evans, not related. And then I would bug out and I would try to separate Cannonball Adderley's saxophone from John Coltrane's saxophone. And I still to this day, I can't figure out which one's which is a testament to how underrated Cannonball Adderley is as a saxophonist, that I can't untangle him in my mind.
He's keeping up with fucking Coltrane.
Or vice versa. Yeah. You don't know. And you know that they didn't rehearse. The legend has it Miles Davis walked in and said, today I want you motherfuckers to think about the color purple. Just think purple. And Miles would play, and he sketched out what the song was, and he would nod at you, and it was your turn to solo. That's the album. Wow. That's Kind of Blue. And now I'm in a movie audition where I have to explain passionately how incredible this is. So I look at it, and they go, take all the time you need. It's like, let's say 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I go, can I come back at 4? They say, sure. Now, this is a theme with this movie. They were always so gracious with their time. They were usually, that's the thing in Hollywood. Here's the 2 myths in Hollywood. There's always more time. The 2 biggest lies in Hollywood that I'll break right here. There is always more time. That's never the only time the director can see you. Because they go, hey, the director's in town Thursday, then he's out of here. Like, really? Where? He's going to fucking Sioux Falls, Idaho? Sioux Falls, South Dakota? Because that's where the showbiz capital happens. We're in fucking Hollywood and he's leaving? Well, maybe he should hang out, considering we're casting a fucking movie, and you should get off my ass that I got to be there between 2 and 15 on a Thursday, because then he's got to leave and go to the film mecca that is Barbados.
I mean, they make a lot of fucking Barbobbywood, man. Barbodywood, you know.
Barbodywood. Very nice.
They're getting up there.
I like that. So they were very gracious with their time. I said, can I come back at 4? And they said, sure. I said, 4:30. Am I pushing it? They go, and Cameron Crowe goes, just come back at 5. I come back at 5. It's me, Gail Levin, Cameron Crowe. And I walk in, and I explain this CD like nobody's business. But everything I'm saying, I truly feel. 2 masters at their craft, at the height of their inspirational genius, and Cannonball Adderley and Joe Cobb on drums and Philly Joe Jones just intertwining and this and that. And they love it. And they say, can you come back Monday for Jim Brooks and for Richard Sakai, the producers? And I go, yeah. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I think I'm in this. Like, I'm in this movie. And it's a small part, but I don't give a shit. It's a Cameron Crowe movie. It's my first movie. I come back on Monday, and Cameron Crowe's office has like NBA Jam video game outside. You know, like when you shoot baskets at Chuck E. Cheese, there's like a row of those where you just try to put it in the basket. There's like a Miss Pac-Man. There's
you
a
climb up and just fucking drop it in.
Yes, it is a place that you want to work and be at all times. You would get there early and leave late. And I go in, and right before I go in to read the babysitter part, he goes, hey, let me talk to you real quick. And I'm like, all right. And he goes, listen. This is the easiest thing in the entire movie for me to cut. It's got nothing to do with the story. It's a babysitter talking about jazz. And I go, okay, like this isn't good. And he says, but when you say it, I can't cut it. So just go and just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let anybody get in your head. Whatever they tell you to do, just be as passionate as you were on Friday. And I go,
awesome.
All right, great. And I go in and I do it. And I guess I do it pretty well. Now there's a strange silence where they just saw a guy, and again, this may come across as cocky. This is my perception of it at the time. They just saw a guy come in, but they have no idea who he is, and I'm sure many, many actors came in to play this part, and I just fucking took it into the upper deck. Like way up. Like upper deck by the foul pole, like holy shit. Like no doubt about it. And the only reason I'm telling you that is my perception is because there was a very long, bizarre silence where everybody just keeps looking at each other back and forth like a Mexican standoff of glances. Usually when you read, they go, that was awesome, man. Thanks a lot. And you just walk out the door.
You're out of the room, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
But I'm the only guy there. And finally, I'm not sure who said it. I'm pretty sure it was Jim Brooks. And it was almost, and not until this moment, and am I piecing this together, it's almost like they were all waiting and looking at each other, waiting for Jim Brooks to be the guy to say the words that changed my life. Hey, what about sugar? That's what he said. And the hair on my neck went up because I realized he's the antagonist of the film. It's like the coolest part in the world. If you're not going to be Jerry Maguire or Rod Tidwell, you want to be Bob Sugar. You got the cool speeches, you get to fire Tom Cruise. But they all just kind of looked at each other and looking, and I'm just sitting there, and for once in my life, I didn't speak and ruin it. And Jim Brooks was sitting on his desk, or on Gail Levin's desk, I forget whose office we were actually in, and he just goes, hey, what about sugar? And they all look at each other like, yeah, like they were waiting for him to say it almost. And now I knew from reading the script that this was an enormous part, and I wasn't going to go outside, read the pages, and come back in and give it a shot. I want to memorize this shit, and I want to crush it. I want to clear the fence. So I say to them, thinking on the spot, like a grown-up asshole, and I had a lot of balls. When I think back, I'm like, that was pretty ballsy, but it all worked out. A lot of times it bit me in the ass, but in this case it worked out, and I was working with people that were fantastic. The kindest people that are kind. I said, guys, let me tell you something. Like, now I'm standing up and I'm holding court.
You just took over the
I just took over the room.
Yeah.
I go, because this is the opportunity. It is, and it was, the opportunity of a lifetime. I stand up, I go, guys, let me tell you something. Bob Sugar is a character. He's going to go down in film history as one of the great bad guys of all time. He really deserves to be played completely. If you guys could be gracious with your time, let me come back another time so I can really come in here with a completed Bob Sugar, because he deserves that. I'm speaking about a fictional character, like he's a friend of mine waiting in the car. And they're looking at me like, yeah, like that's how we feel it. Like, we're so passionate about Bob Sugar. Like, yeah, we definitely think Bob Sugar should be played completely. And then I think at that moment they realized, yeah, we don't want you going in and like just holding it and reading it. And you got to keep in mind, Matt, I didn't have a haircut. I didn't own a suit.
You still had the long fucking hair.
I had my
the Foxworthy hair?
I was Wayne Foxworthy. I was on the show at the time. And I had like my pro wrestler hair. I got hair like Triple H.
No, yeah. And they're talking about
I don't own a suit.
Slick looking
unctuous,
sugars.
like
a
slick.
shark.
The absolute guy that set the bar for sharks of all time, all the time. Sharks in the ocean are like, damn, that was a Bob Sugar move, son.
Number 2. That was a black shark.
It's a slow one today. It's just a nice buzz podcast. So they tell me yes. It's Monday. And I go, well, when can I come back? And I'm thinking they're going to say like tomorrow, 7, 8 a.m. We got to fit them in. And Cameron Crowe goes, when do you want to come back? Like, these guys never had any angst about their time. So those are the 2 myths I'd like to smash. There's always more time and there's always more money. That's all we got, man. That is all. Really? Because I just went to the catering truck and they're giving out fucking deviled eggs. Like, really? Deviled eggs? In the middle, for no reason, in the middle of a film. Like, you know what? Let's get some snacks for everybody. That could have been my money, asshole. There's always more money. Yeah, I noticed you're making it fake rain for no reason.
Egg money.
I noticed you hose down the street to make it look cooler.
Wet down.
How about you don't hose down the street and give me the fucking 6 G's you gave the truck and the union to hose down the street? So I came back on a Thursday. So I got Tuesday and Wednesday.
You were why PAs don't get paid. No, I'm joking.
Yes, I am one.
No, yeah, totally.
So it's Monday. I go Thursday, and they go, great. I go afternoon. Yeah, like it was like they were. It wasn't even like they were casting. It was like they worked at a nursery, and like whenever you come back with those bulbs and those radishes, whatever's good for you, man. We're not going anywhere. We're the number 1 nursery in the world. We're good. It's not. I mean, it's not like they're going to go bad, and it's a neat approach to filmmaking. Like, these aren't going to rot, these parts.
It's a movie.
And we're here casting, and we got Tom Cruise. We're good. And in hindsight, I guess, we got way bigger fucking fish to fry. We got to find a female lead opposite Tom Cruise, and we got to find a guy that's going to win a Best Supporting Actor opposite Tom Cruise. This is an enormous movie. This is an $80 million movie, and we're shooting about 1.5 pages a day. If you need until Thursday, go fucking take till Thursday. We'll be here because we're putting together Jerry Maguire.
How long was the shoot? If it was a
3
page
months.
and a half a day.
3 months.
3 months, wow.
I mean, there was days when we did more.
Bumped a little more, but
there's enormous
took your time.
That entire office where he gets fired, where we work. That was a stage, and they made an office. They made files. They made paper and files with the company he worked at. I forget the name of it, but Global Artists, whatever. I had business cards that said Bob Sugar. I had my own cell phone, a Bob Sugar cell phone. They tits that place out. Everyone had their own name tag. Everything was amazingly perfect. And it didn't have to be, but that's how they roll.
And that's why the movie's so fucking good, though.
That's how Sony rolls, man. Sony doesn't roll out like, we'll cheat it. No, we're not cheating anything. Like, there's no reason I should have business cards in my wallet that say
that
Bob.
actually say anything on
that
them.
say Bob Sugar, and the phone line is the phone line on my fake desk on the stage, where if you call it, it rings.
That's so fucking cool.
So I come back Thursday, and I rehearse like an absolute maniac. And I'm thinking, this is the shot. This is exactly it. This is one of those moments. Because you guys asked me a while ago, what was like the biggest break of your life? If you're lucky, you're going to get about 6 or 7 breaks. It's not one thing. It's not like just Chelsea lately and then I was up and running. And none of this is a negative, what I'm saying. It's not like then I got King of Queens and it was all over. There's always breaks before the break, and then a break, and then your career ebbs. The tide goes out. All the boats go down a little bit. And then you get another break.
The kids from the camp run by and laugh at you.
Yeah, like this podcast. It's an enormous break. Like, I'm getting 500,000 downloads, and people are going, suddenly, I have to go see this guy do stand-up comedy. This is an incredible break.
Did you get a lot of good feedback at your shows this weekend in Brea from the pod?
Yes, it's ridiculous.
That's
Everybody
awesome,
loves
man.
it.
Yeah.
And so I go back on a Thursday, and I figured out and I told Kevin this, I think, when I was on his. Yes, I told Kevin this when I was on.
+1, I think. Yeah.
Per diem, +1?
+1 per diem, yeah.
That I realized I had a little office in this house I was renting, and I realized the entire character of Bob Sugar is the way he sits. And the way he sits is even, no matter what chair situation, no matter what desk, he always looks like he's looking down at you. So I always positioned, when I was rehearsing the dialogue, I'm talking to a spot on the wall, I'm alone, but I'm always, in a cartoon, a comic strip, when you want to show someone's line of sight, you draw dots.
Yeah.
I always had dots coming out of my eyes on a slight trajectory down because that person was beneath me. Even if they were taller than me, I had my head held a certain way where I was looking down at them. And I had perfect posture. Because you can't close fucking deals with Rod Tidwell if you're a slouch in a chair. And if you're wearing a suit that cool, you better sit up straight, put on your big boy clothes, and look down at that person. So when they're looking up at you, they know they're lucky to be across the desk from you. And that's what I did. And I went in and I did a really good job on the audition. And they said, can you come in on Sunday to screen test with Tom? And I'm like, Sunday I go to church. Yes, of course. So I go to Sony on a Sunday, which is a very surreal thing, to go to any studio on the weekend when no one's there. During the week, it's a hive, activity, constantly, people moving, coming, going, auditions, trams, tour guides. There's stores. There's actual, clothing stores in studios. And
good fucking discounts, too, on DVDs and shit.
Teamsters, people you don't even know have jobs, like editors, people that cut cells for cartoons. Medics, everyone, just coming, going. And it's just me. And they say, we'll leave you a drive-on, and there will be a parking spot for you up by the front of the door. And literally, I drive to the front door of Sony, where Cameron's office is, I don't know the name of the building. And it says Jay Mohr. And I'm like, this is the most surreal thing in the world, but there's no other cars. And I'm like, well, where did Tom Cruise park? And I'm like, he probably just choppered in, rappelled out of a helicopter.
Just flew out of the fucking sky.
Yeah. I go in, I'm waiting, and I wasn't really nervous because I knew the words so well that if you woke me up and said a sentence halfway through, I would have just said the next sentence immediately. And it's a lesson that if I can impart on anybody that wants to go in on an audition, don't hold the sides in front of you. Why give them any reason to put a check mark in the negative column next to your name? Go in there like you're ready to shoot the fucking scene. And I go in, and they say, hey, Tom, this is Jay. And I look, and sitting on a couch, now we're in Jim Brooks' office, not Cameron's office. It's a little larger, much more airier. And there's photos of Nicholson everywhere. And there's photos of The Simpsons. And you forget Jim Brooks. You just know his name from The Simpsons, but you're like, oh, my God, this guy's a monster.
Dude did everything. Yeah.
Tom Cruise is sitting on a couch, but the kind of couch where you kind of sink into, where it's hard to get out